Was that a double clap?
That was a successfully finished clap.
I thought it was like a little, like you were in the middle of a song.
Oh.
Like all we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio Goo Goo.
It's a very specific Queen song to reach for,
Well, it's of all the Queen songs. This is going out to our Italian listeners. Queen remains humongous in Italy. This is a podcast in which two friends talk about the pleasures, absurdities, and imperfections of being human. I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller. Welcome to Midlifing.
Why do you think that might be?
I don't know. Lil and actually watching a bit of a rabbit hole last night. We ended up watching Queen at Live Aid.
Okay.
And we were talking about just how popular they are in Italy. And we're trying to figure out why. And then you just look at Freddie Mercury doing his thing and wow.
It's pretty good, isn't he? He's pretty good at what he does.
Oh, wow. I mean, I've watched that. I have watched that sort of performance, Live Aid performance of his really, because the others in the background are just, smooching on their, mooching around on their instruments, smooching their instruments. It's so fabulously camp. I just love it.
I've yet to see anybody wear a white vest with such aplomb and panache.
And play air guitar on a half microphone.
I mean, come on.
Fantastic. Miss you, Eddie. I mean, no, Eddie. Freddie. Who's Eddie? It's a little early for me. I've just got out of bed.
Yes.
Happy New Year, everyone.
This is my fault. Happy New Year. This is my fault, everybody. We are doing a very last-minute recording because...
we are, aren't we?
Yeah, we've got to turn this... Yeah, we are recording on New Year's Eve.
We're cramming for an exam.
Yeah.
We've left it to the last moment.
That's my fault. It's absolutely my fault. I've been having too much fun.
Oh, just God bless. God bless you and your fun.
It's hard to scale back the level of fun I've been having.
Yeah, and have you had to scale it back?
Yes. Yeah.
You're back in. I can tell you're back in the UK because I can tell is because you're not popping your peas because you've got a thingy-majig in front of your mic.
A proper spit filter, pop filter. There we go.
Pop filter.
I couldn't
remember. I've just got to take my scarf off. Hang on.
Okay.
Already hot. Okay.
Yeah, no, we just had too much fun. Well, I'm not sure you can have too much fun, but much fun was had while we were in Lisbon.
And
I'm just... Yeah.
So do you feel like you're having to recover from it? Do you think like you've maxed out your fun meter? Or is there some left? Is there a bit more to squeeze out?
Well, it's not so much... I think it's more that I just need to take a little moment to recuperate. I was going to say we've been dry since we came back to the UK, but I realised the gin and tonic last night would call me a liar.
It's wet, isn't it?
So,
you sound like you've really embraced alcohol, haven't you? Isn't it like?
I mean, we don't drink a lot, but we do drink often. How's that?
Yes, I guess it depends on what a lot is, doesn't it?
I think I rarely have more than a glass and a half of wine in any given moment. Very, very rarely. Except for Christmas Day, where I did have a lot more than a glass.
We don't. I'm not a big drinker.
No, I know. You used to be, though.
I guess. I mean,
you went through a cocktail phase.
Well, yeah, it wasn't. Actually, we think about it the other day. It wasn't. We were talking about it. It coincided with having a full-time job for the first time. All this money, what do I do with it? And I know what. And I think Mad Men must have been going on. A little bit walking home, and I message her and say, would you like a gimlet when you get home?
And how can you say no to a gimlet?
Yeah, it was like a Tuesday.
I mean, I'd love to judge.
Talk about slippery slopes.
Tuesday, yesterday. Oh, no, it was a Monday yesterday.
Yeah, but it's holiday
Well,
time.
this is the thing, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. It doesn't count. But I was going to say I'll be having a dry January, but that's not true because I will be away for a full week of January working.
And does that mean you have to have a drink of wine?
Well, I'll be working in Portugal, so I would imagine there will be wine with dinner.
I see. You mean you're... Oh, yeah, you're doing that stuff that you do for for the Portuguese government.
Yeah, it
Helping
is
them with
official
their
work.
economy, isn't it?
I'm helping with, I'm
Fixing the Portuguese economy.
I'm contributing to their GDP.
Yes. I'm very happy for it. I love the sound. I love hearing you talk about how much fun you've been having or have had. I can sort of have it vicariously. But yeah, just even people that we just have met, they go, yeah, I really love Queen. You know, there's a real heavy rock. I mean, I guess you certainly could call Queen's earlier, less funny stuff heavy rock. You know, they were. And there's that kind of sound, and also another one, big one in Japan, in Italy, Pink Floyd.
Oh,
yeah, which
Dark Side of the Moon.
or just anything. It's sort of late. I think of '70s, late '70s, early '80s. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, Pink Floyd has sort of passed me by.
Yeah, I went through a bit of a phase. Not really, because my brother listened to them, and it was very hard as a 12-year-old not to be singing "We Don't Need No Education."
Well, yeah, I think that's probably the only song that made it into my brain.
I think we were the demographic.
I was a little young.
We don't need no thought control.
Yeah.
What's the rest of it? No dark salvation? No.
Oh, I don't remember. All I remember is that
Teachers, leave
That-
us kids alone.
exactly that and I Don't Like Mondays were put me right off high school. I was like, oh dear, it doesn't sound like it's going to be much fun because I was listening to them pre-high school because I'm obviously a smidge younger.
Yeah, just a smidge.
So I was listening to them in junior school and thinking, oh gosh.
It's funny you mentioned Bob Geldof because how we got onto it. Oh yeah, I think because my sister and my niece and nephew and my great niece came round for a late Christmas lunch yesterday. It was just so much fun. We played Happy Salmon. Do you know Happy Salmon?
No,
Yeah,
I don't.
It's a card game. I think you would love playing it. It's a card game with a lot of action. It's a big movement card game. Yeah.
Right.
Fish bump, happy salmon. And my sister Susan had watched the Do They Know It's Christmas sort of documentary. What sort of documentary? It was more like footage that had just been lost in a cupboard somewhere in the BBC and they'd found it and cut it together. Of the time that in November 1984, when all those superstars got together and recorded Do They Know It's Christmas, because Bob Geldof made it happen, and also Ultravox, Midge Ure. And the thing, it turns out, we're listening to some other people, that the thing that made it possible was that Bob Geldof, I'm mentioning Bob Geldof because I Don't Like Mondays, Boomtown Rats, were no longer...
I'd followed the inferential walk, but thank you for letting the people who didn't know what we were talking about catch up.
Exactly. Sorry, if you know the silicon chip inside your head is switched to overload. The only reason he was able to make it happen was that if any of them who'd been basically a star, meaning was still relevant, that all the egos would have just been, no way, why are you doing this and why is this? And so because basically Bob Geldof was no longer relevant, so
he was on the downturn.
No one was threatened. No one was threatened by him. And he had the chutzpah and the personality to make it happen. Yeah, it's a really good, really interesting bit of footage, not least because they just look so young. And the guys that look old are like the dudes from Status Quo who turns out they were 33. 34. But they were the oldies in the room. And Phil Collins was 32 going on 58.
This is the thing, isn't it?
Younger than Taylor Swift is now.
It's so bizarre to look back on how people presented themselves in the 70s and 80s. It's the famous thing about the Golden Girls. The Golden Girls now Oh, no, get that right. They're dead. The Golden Girls.
It ruins that story, doesn't it? I mean, they're not looking great now, are they?
The Golden Girls then are younger, or were younger, than the women from Friends are now.
Yeah. So hang on, Golden Girls, when was Golden Girls? Tell me, give me a little bit of backstory there, because I know, but I don't know.
1980s, so early part of the mid-1980s, 4 women, sitcom, 4 women, all widowed or divorced, moved to live in a shared house in Miami.
Ah, and who are the actors? Do you just...
Oh, gosh, right, okay, so you've got B. Arthur, who plays... Dorothy, you've got Betty White, who plays Rose, you've got Rue
now you're just showing
McClanahan, who plays Blanche, and then you've got the woman who plays Sophia. Ooh, her name's escaping me.
Wow. 7 out of 8.
Oh,
Wow, Oxford. Lee Miller, Oxford. So the Golden Girls then, they would have been in their 40s. Is that what you're telling me?
I think they were
Early
in their 50s, yeah. But if you look at them, because they've got those very sort of short helmet haircuts, which
Sting has on Do They Know It's Christmas?
Yes, they speak to a generation, and that generation reads as older.
Was there a film called Golden Girls?
Not the best of my knowledge. It was on Golden Pond with Jane Fonda and Henry.
And there was
Fonda
Golden Eye
Catherine.
with...
The Man with the Golden Gun.
Well done. Look at
Goldfinger.
God, listen to you.
Goldmember, the Austin Powers pastiche.
It's called Goldmember. He thought long and hard about that one, didn't he?
Simon Kennedy Ellis. I can't believe you just said that.
I mean, what should we call this one? We could go with... Anyway, he went...
It was the long and hard that just made me go, come on.
I know. I've just got to blow my nose and sneeze. Hang on.
Wow. Twofer.
Sorry, I did it in the other order.
It makes more sense in the order that you did it.
It'd be weird to blow your nose, then sneeze, wouldn't it?
Oh, sometimes that does happen, though. You give yourself an accidental tickle.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been on nothing but putrid public transport for the last year. It's not true. It's 2 weeks. But not a single person anywhere in the world seems to cover their mouth when they cough anymore.
It's interesting, isn't it? We went through a pandemic and then just didn't the whole sneezing into your elbow. It's
gone.
Yep.
Yeah. Just coughing with your mouth as wide as you can and your head thrown back as if you were trying to shower the entire carriage.
It's. I mean, I don't want to be. I don't want to be hard on people, but people, can you? I mean, it is extraordinary. The one that I find is that kind of half covering your mouth. Like you're not even like your hands about, I don't know, I'm looking at it about 2 inches away. Like
honestly, I'm fine with somebody half covering their mouth because at least it just gently redirects the flow. It's when people just throw their heads back and bark cough into the world, and you just think, for goodness sake.
Oh, nice little self-censorship there.
Thanks very much, because it's too early to do swears.
Do you think that we humans went, okay, I get it now, we've got to wash our hands while singing Happy Birthday twice, and we cough into our elbows or sneeze and cough into our elbows. Do you think they learned that and they went, the pandemic's over, fuck it? Or did they never quite pick it up?
I think it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one because part of me wants to say, I think what I'm seeing is a reaction against being bodily policed.
Hey, now I can do whatever I want.
Exactly. Except I'm seeing it on so many different types of bodies that I find myself going, well, surely some of these people must think. And it makes me quite cross because I just find myself thinking, those people who are immunocompromised, COVID hasn't gone away for them.
Well, yeah. Well,
You know
it
what I
doesn't
mean?
even matter.
Those
It's just COVID. If they're immunocompromised, it's whatever's floating around. But so the body policing. No, it is a very curious phenomenon. I mean, it's just another. Well, our capacity to think of other people is kind of limited. It saddens me a little bit. That's what I've got. I just, some of my friends, their capacity to think of others, I just find extraordinary, and I remain deeply moved by it. Friends and colleagues, I think it's what an extraordinary thing. Just to go, I'm sensitive to you.
It strikes me, though, that covering your mouth is the smallest possible thing to do.
It's a low bar. It's a
pretty low bar. To think of another person is to cover your mouth. Or, if you know that you are travelling with a cold, put a mask on.
Yeah, that one's I think that's even more complicated because that's got so wound up and bound up to this kind of policing, and it really did become a kind of political thing. You're either a mask wearer or not.
I know, but it's just, I mean, it's yeah.
We're not saying anything new here, but
no, it's just everything that feels to me to be slightly wrong with the world. And I had a conversation with my dad over Christmas.
Well done, you.
I had a conversation about politics.
Oh no! Gee, who started it? How did that door get opened? It's always
I don't know. I don't know, because my dad's politics have always skewed right wing compared to mine. Yeah. He is from I think I've said this before. He's from what are they called? The silent generation, probably one of the last generations who were able to work their way out of poverty, that actually became a thing that was possible. He was from a family of 7, born into what he describes as a slum, or a one-up, one-down terrace house in Blackpool that was knocked down, and then he was put into a 2-bedroom council flat, which he thought was a palace because it had an indoor toilet. So, the fella's worked, left school at 14, he's worked his entire life.
Yeah. So bootstrapping. Well, picking himself up from his bootstraps.
Yeah. Yeah. So that
it's basically the American dream. It's the concept of the American dream is that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say the Reagan economics, that trickle down notion that was big in the 80s that sort of informed Thatcherism, I think really, really connected to his idea of working hard.
Yeah. And also he had a lot of, let's say, direct and physical evidence that it worked.
Absolutely.
Firsthand.
Absolutely. Yep. And
can't argue with that. Very hard to argue with that.
It's very hard to argue with that, and it's very hard to argue with it in 2024 because his understanding of the world is, he's 84 next birthday. He is a long while out of the labour market, and I think also it's important to know that he's not an educated man. I need to be really clear about the language that I'm using here. He left school at 14 years old.
Yeah, formally.
So
he doesn't have formal education.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
But my dad's clever. But he's an uneducated man, and so it means that there are certain things that he just doesn't know. Because he hasn't encountered them.
But so when you, for example, if you, let's say, inform him gently that this is, because it's not like if you're presenting, let's say, updated information, it's not like you're presenting it in an unideological way. It's coloured by your politics, right?
Yeah,
so does he just get the colour of the politics, or does he get the information to update?
I think, to my shame, I haven't ever really tried to update him. I think I've just tried to argue with him, which is stupid. It's so reductive and lazy on my part. And Bob just goes, "I'm going to go sit by the pool," and out she wanders. It's like, it's February. What are you doing? She said, "It's out. I prefer to be outside in the cold than listening to you two yammer on at each other," which is fair. But something changed this time around.
Has he swung further right?
That's the thing that shocked me.
Oh,
he really hasn't.
He hasn't.
No. we were having a discussion and he was explaining the way he thought the world should work. And I had to say gently, so you've just invented socialism. How do you feel about this? then he went, well, actually, and then he carried on and went, okay, so I'm just going to read you a paragraph of Marx. So it turns out that without reading Marx or Engels, my dad has now decided communal property is the way forward. This idea of people is just it was really funny because also he was just yelling at me like I don't know. It was
so
it
basically
was
he
really
came
funny.
round the other side, didn't he? He was on that big circular kind of political spectrum, and he went, "Whoop, here I am, back on the left."
Exactly. He just found. I think the last year he's been. Something interesting has happened actually, and this might be. Oh gosh, I hadn't thought of this until I thought.
So can you, before you go on with that, I'm a little bit confused about why, to your shame, you were fighting if he's effectively come around to your clearly.
No, I think
side.
historically. No, I think I meant historically. To my shame, I would fight with him. I wouldn't try to. This time around, I was saying, okay, let me talk to you about Marx. Let me read you a little bit of his.
I mean, nothing says Christmas at the Miller household like let me talk to you about Marx. I mean, you know Christmas carols, don't you? But no,
we had a great time. It was we all went away much happier. But here's the thing that I've just realised. About a year ago, so the beginning of this year, the satellite TV provider that was allowing them to get British TV in Portugal switched off their satellite.
So they can no longer see British TV, terrestrial TV.
They can no longer see British terrestrial TV, and so instead they're watching
Portuguese.
They're watching Portuguese TV, but they're also watching things like they're watching little bits and pieces of stuff. They get I came in the other day and I was he was watching Al Jazeera, and I said, why are we watching Al Jazeera today? And he went, oh, CNN was getting on my tits. They were just being really American.
Right.
So that's where that was his response.
So his media diet has changed, is what you're saying?
Significantly, his media diet has changed, and also, I mean, I always knew that I was from two atheists, but it has never been quite so explicitly made clear to me in the last year during the Israeli attack on Gaza.
Right.
His atheism has just become so. It can only be described as flaming. He is so angry, so deeply, deeply angry about the idea that there is a man in the sky who says you can have land.
Yeah. I mean, you put it like that, it is a little odd.
And it's just, he's every time we've spoken, he's just like, and what are they on about? It's just a pretend it will be like you. It'll be like you saying Darth Vader gave you a car. Doesn't make any sense.
Wait. Did Darth Vader give you a car?
No, but that's the idea of me walking into a showroom and saying, I'm going to take that car. Darth Vader says I'm allowed to have it. It doesn't make any sense if you say it like that.
Well, I mean, but it would be awesome for the podcast if you would do that.
It would. It would, but I've been...
I could dress up as Darth Vader and go, give him that... Give him that car. Anyway, I can't do my Darth Vader accent at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And maybe I've gotten too strident at 8 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, it's just, it struck me.
Doesn't matter what time of day it is, Lee Miller. Lee Strident Miller.
I know. But no, maybe apples and trees. Maybe that's what we're learning here today.
Wow. So what you're saying, if I understand correctly, is that if we change the things we look at and read, Wait, hang on. I've just got to put. Wait, that's the first part of the equation. The second part of the equation is the things we think and say change. Is that what you're telling me, Lee Miller?
I mean,
you saying that if I fed myself on Joe Rogan for the next 12 months and what's that guy, the first buddy he's calling himself, Elon Musk, if I spent 12 months of that, you saying that maybe the way I think about the world would change? Oof.
Anyway.
Oof. Yeah, really. It's nasty though. Eh? Horrible. I don't know how to end that conversation. Bye.
Well, let's just turn our frowns upside down and say,
hey, no, not happy birthday. Wait,
happy birthday. Happy New Year. Happy birthday.